When I was a kid, I thought that being religious meant that you had a wall of protection around you. I thought that's kind of what it meant. You were one of God's chosen ones. You kind of had a shield that protected you from everything that could go wrong. And it's funny, now I'm 40, and I'll tell you, I'm a pretty religious person, right? And I would say that I'm having a great life, but I would not say I'm having an easy life. I don't think it's necessarily an easy life. I'm grateful for my life, but it's not easy. That circle of protection I thought I would have, I don't know. I don't think I get protected from the hardness of life. How about you? Are you having an easy life? Have some people here that are having a real easy life? It's very few of us. Easter is not a promise for an easy life. It is a promise that no matter what we go through, it is going to be worth it in the end. It is not a promise that it will be easy or that we will be able to avoid suffering or hardship or struggle. It's a promise that we'll overcome and that it will all be worth it in the end. I knew a single mom named Crystal who worked at the Starbucks I used to frequent. She came on board one fall, and I was asking her a little bit about what she had done before that. She was one of the best baristas I'd ever met. And she said, I like it here a lot, but I'm kind of heartbroken, actually. She said, I worked for 11 years at a diner, and it was a famous neighborhood place that everybody loved. And she told me that she made such good tips at her job. She was a fantastic server. She was a single mom, and she was able to pay her bills through the tips she got at that restaurant, along with another part-time job that supplemented it. She said, I was so blessed. I loved the people I worked with. I loved my customers. But that diner closed 2 weeks before Christmas with 1 day notice. The owners put a sign on the door that said, tomorrow's our last day of business. And the employees found out the same time everybody else did. I can't imagine a single mom losing her income like that, what that must have felt like. They demolished that diner so they could build a Moe's fast food joint on that spot. The owner had more money from the sale of the land than they had from running the diner. Well, she didn't last at Starbucks very long, actually. I noticed one day that she was gone, and I asked the manager, where'd Crystal go? And she said, oh, she got hired as a manager at the new restaurant that they just opened. It turned out that there was a new restaurant that focused on local food from upstate New York, and they changed their menu seasonally, which is something that she felt passionate about. So I went to that restaurant one day, and I said, Crystal, we miss you. And she said, oh, I miss everybody there too. I love my customers, but oh, it's great to be here. And she talked again about the diner and about the 11 years she had there and about the customers she's not in touch with. And I said to her, I'm so sorry you went through all that. And she would not let me finish that thought. She stopped me and said, no, because of where I am now and how happy I am, I can tell you it was 100% worth it. It was all 100% worth it. And that phrase kept sticking in my head, 100% worth it. Easter is when we get to see the big picture. And we realize that no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what we're going through, no matter what kind of grief or stress or struggle, that if we get the biggest picture we can, if we can take a step back so we can see the whole panorama, it's all 100% worth it. This is not in vain. Nothing is wasted. You know what Easter means? Easter means that you are not a fool if you want to be joyful. It is not a foolish thing to be a joyful person. Easter gives us permission to have joy for the rest of our lives, despite whatever's going on, despite whatever's going on with the economy or what's happening with the election or the person we can't stand at work. We have permission to be joyful despite that all, because Easter reminds us that it's going to be 100% worth it. The promise of Easter is not that we'll have an easy life. Jesus didn't have an easy life. worth it. Whenever we allow ourselves to be miserable and forget that, we are wasting Easter. We are wasting what he did. There's a famous story about an immigrant family that came to the United States from Ireland. Alice will love this one. This immigrant family came over on the economy class of a ship. They had family in New York City, and they had come on hard times in Ireland, and so the family in New York sent them some money to help them pay for the tickets. It was enough money to pay for just the economy class. So this large family with 5 kids piled onto the ship and got their little cabin in economy class down in the lower part of the ship, and they brought food with them because they didn't have any money for the trip. So they brought some bread and some cheese, but midway through the trip, the bread was all stale and the cheese was all moldy. And one of those kids was kind of like a foodie. And he said to his dad, please just give me a dime and let me go upstairs and get something else, a bag of nuts, something. Please let me have something else than this food. And so the dad gave him a dime. And the kid took off, and he was gone for the longest time. And the family was worried. So they sent Dad up, and Dad found him in a big dining room, sitting at a table, piled with food. Piled. He went up there with a dime. He had piles of food, meat and casseroles and plates of cheese and fresh fruit and desserts. And the father was heartbroken. He said, "Son, what have you done? We can't afford this. You're going to ruin us. You're going to ruin us." And the son said, "Dad, I didn't pay for this. Here's your dime back. I found out this was included in our fare." We could have had this the whole time. Isn't that what Easter is for us? We're so busy getting caught up in how hard life can be. But we don't have to pay for this joy. It's included in the fare. It's included in the fare. Joy is our birthright. That's what Easter reminds us. We could have it the whole time. So it's okay if we're struggling with sadness. It's okay. There's things in life that are sad. It's okay if we're struggling with disappointments. It's okay if there's frustrations. But one thing is not open to us. We can't be miserable. We can be stressed, sad, worried, okay. But Christians can't be miserable because we know that it's 100% worth it. It's 100% worth it. We need to remind each other of this, and that's why we need a night like this every year. Aren't you glad you're here? Aren't you glad? There's people at Tops right now. There's people at Paul's and Griffin's. They don't know about this. Isn't that sad? They're not aware of some of this hope. Do you realize that that's why we call this the good news? We call it the good news because it's that good. It means joy is our birthright. There was a writer who talked about Christian joy, and sometimes you don't see a lot of it. And he said, it's called good news. And then he said to the readers, if you believe in the good news, could you kindly inform your face? Christians should be laughing. We should be essentially joyful, despite the pain. There's a lot of people that are here right now, and they're not in a very Eastery place. Easter comes after the full moon, after the equinox, so it doesn't necessarily mean it coincides with how your life is going right now. I know a teen who is considering suicide right now, and I'm really worried about it. I have a friend who called to tell me that her marriage is falling apart, and they have 2 young kids. And I know a woman who just found out last week that she has a reoccurrence of cancer. And maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you're in a painful place this Easter. But let's remember where a painful place can lead. Jesus was in a very painful place on Good Friday, and we were just there to witness it. And today, he's risen. He's a reminder to us, do not get lost in the drama of the moment. Don't get lost in it. Joy is our birthright. There's a bigger picture. we are just about to get a taste of the big picture. We're going to approach this table. Barbara Summix is going to approach it for the very first time. And we are going to receive Jesus, who's going to touch down right here before us. And he's going to take the form of bread and wine. And he's going to let us consume him. He's going to come into our bodies. As we say in the prayer, he's going to come under our roof. And he's going to put our whole house in order. He's going to remind us of the big picture. He gave his life to be able to do this for us. But you know what? It was 100% worth it. And our lives are too.